Survivors, I welcome you to the Lost Island, the land of endless exploration and extremely deadly dinosaurs. And with that being said, we'll see how far I can get within the next 100 days without dying. Because as you've probably guessed, this is a hardcore playthrough. And of course I had to make it more challenging by increasing the difficulty to 6 and also taking down the boss on all 3 difficulties. So if this sounds interesting to you, I just ask that you sit back, relax, hit that subscribe button, and enjoy the show. Day 1, we wake up on the beach feeling refreshed and ready to get to work. But what would a 100-day playthrough be without the starting animation of scratching your stupid arm?
Ah, yes, here we go.
Anyways, you know how this all goes, so we'll get through it fast, but I started off by punching trees, picking berries, and making a pickaxe. I then of course had to unlock some essentials and then immediately got to farming some flint, which was followed by crafting a hatchet and some spears, that way I could kill the dodos for their hide and meat. But even though we were this early on, something just didn't feel right. Aha, there we go. And after doing some starter things, I got attacked by this Dillo and almost died within minutes of being in the game. So I decided the spears weren't gonna cut it, so I crafted a bow and some arrows. I also made a shield because why the hell not? But after roaming the beach for a while, my satiation got low, so I needed some cooked meat, that way I could not die of hunger. I crafted a club so I could knock out a parasaur because that was my day 1 goal, but after roaming the beach, there was absolutely nothing to be found. At least until sunset, when I found this level 66 casually trotting by, so I decided he was gonna be mine. And after some crime-worthy actions, I finally got the parasaur knocked out. Day 2, my hard-headed pal woke up and I named him Paramount Plus. And then I went ahead and crafted a raft so we could go on a little journey. We ended up on a beach where the bugs immediately let us know that we were not welcome. But I knew I needed to get started on getting some tame, so that meant farming a bunch of narco berries. And let me tell you, the parasaur knows his job. So after farming berries, I started making narcotics, and then it was time for me to make a trap for the triceratops behind me. And I just went with the simple ramps and doors. Even though the bugs were vexing, there was a plus side, which was the chitin. I wanted a cinema crops at some point, which is the most overpowered little shoulder mount you'll ever see in your life. Anyways, my next job was to agitate this trike and get it into the trap, and then hopefully I could get it knocked out. But of course you knew I was gonna get it knocked out because I'm too damn good. And I also KO'd this tech raptor because he was terrorizing me and my friends. While just waiting on my tames to wake up, I noticed that there was a cinema crops just flying around. So that chitin I was talking about earlier, I threw in the last slot of my hotbar and just waited very, very patiently. And sure enough, this little guy showed signs of affection and started flying towards me, which meant I was in the clear.
Come on, little guy. Dude, no way it was that easy. That was the easiest cinema crops taming ever. Holy crap.
And now that the whole squad was tamed up and ready to go, I got them all put on their raft and we were back out to sea. But I wanted to go on an adventure and the tames that I had were too slow, so I was gonna have to come back for them later. Then ventured up into the snow biome trying to get some crystal, but I was quickly met with freezing temperatures and a near-death experience. Come on, no. Oh, come on, freezing, go away. Go away.
Oh my gosh.
Oh dude, that was so stupidly close for no reason. On day 4, I was hurting for a flyer, so I found this PT landing and I decided I was gonna bola him. Even though the cinema crops was great, I needed a flyer that was more consistent. And now that the PT was KO'd, I went out to go get some prime meat, that way he could tame up faster. And the yields with a stone hatchet weren't that great, but after a couple of snakes, we got the job done. On my way back to the PT, I noticed that there was crystal on the swamp floor, so I of course had to stop and farm it up. When I got to the top of the hill, I checked on another PT and it was level 174, so I decided I was gonna get this one instead. Increasing the difficulty to 6 allows for the wild max dino level to be 180, and instead of sitting around wasting time, I went ahead and started crafting structures for my first base. When the PT woke up, I named him Lupo, and I have no idea why. But now that I had a PT, I obviously needed the saddle, so I started killing some turtles for the keratin. Later on in the evening, I found myself walking along this river, and I decided this was going to be a good spot for my first base. After the build was somewhat complete, I started making myself some higher-end tools and got a Pteranodon saddle crafted, so now we were able to take flight. And later on in the day, I started crafting some gates, that way I could trap a griffin. Potentially. I also noticed that there was beaver dams literally right outside my base, so cementing paste was not going to be an issue anytime soon. I spent the better half of day 6 searching the highlands for a griffin, and the only thing I found was this level 30. But it was just going to have to do because I wanted a wyvern sooner than later, and this griffin was my only early game option. But after getting Grumpy Pants' attention, I got him lured into the trap, and now it was just time to knock him out. And I feel bad about this, but when the griffin woke up, I named him Decoy because that's what he was gonna be so I could get a wyvern egg. But his stamina was so god-awful that I wouldn't be able to do anything with him until I leveled him up. And the worst part is I was super far away from home, so it took me a good 15 minutes just to get back. Day 7, first thing, I went straight to the wyvern trench and I played with death. Was debating on grabbing this lightning egg, but there was so many damn wyverns down here that I would have no chance of making it out. But it wasn't just the wyverns I had to worry about, it was also the harsh environment. Oh god, I gotta stop doing this, no. Maybe if I take this off? No. Okay, I need to get back on my griffin. Oh, I don't have time. Okay, come on. Please get out, please. Don't die, don't die, don't die. Dude, what is going on? Go away. Oh my gosh. Day 8, I started adding more onto my base because I felt like I didn't have enough space. And this is what I came up with, and it was hideous, but it was just temporary. After finishing the build, the next thing on my list was to get a Maywing, so I crafted myself a net gun. And then of course I had to craft the nets for the gun. Later on, I made myself a greenhouse, which I would never use, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Early in the morning on day 9, I found myself a level 174 Maywing, so I got to work. I went ahead and got him trapped with the net gun and then started hitting him with the trank arrows. And luckily this map is overflowing with creatures that offer prime meat, otherwise I'd be waiting days on taming stuff. And it's crazy how violent this game can be sometimes, yet so peaceful in situations like this. But when the Maywing finally tamed, I named him Catfish Billy, which is probably the most legendary name in ARK history. Later on in the day, I went directly to the wyvern trench because I wanted to get myself a couple of eggs. But I was running into the issue of only finding low-level eggs just like this one. And after some more scouting, I realized I was wasting my time, so I headed over to the other wyvern trench, only to be greeted by another low-leveled egg. So after making my way out, I looked at my 2 poor eggs and I realized that I can definitely do better, so I headed back in. I had my eyes set on this fire egg down here and I had a lot better of a feeling about it. And sure enough, when I got off to check the egg, I noticed it was level 222 and I sat there in awe for a minute. Later on in the day, when I got back to my base, I went ahead and crafted a fabricator which was going to allow me to craft higher tier items. And after placing down 14 standing torches, my wyvern egg was finally incubating. A couple minutes later, the world brought me Blaziken. I started off day 10 by gathering all the materials necessary to craft a cryopod because my wyvern was being extremely needy for his first imprinting. So I of course made my way over to a supply drop and started crafting some cryopods. And after potting him up and throwing him back out, all he wanted to do was be cuddled and the imprinting was complete. And all I did for the rest of day 10 was just progress material-wise by smelting down metal and getting wood from the beaver dams. On day 11, my wyvern finally matured, so I started disrespecting my surroundings. After setting things straight with my enemies, I headed over to the volcano biome because there is a surplus of oil in this area. And after farming everything in sight, it was time for the slow flight back home. When I got back, I used my newly found materials to craft an industrial grill so I could keep up with all the raw meat. And after combining hide and oil in the furnace, I was able to make some gas, that way I could actually use the grill. Later on, while exploring, I found myself in the redwoods fighting this Alpha Carno. I was hoping that if I killed him I might be able to get a better crossbow, but instead I got a bunch of crap. I mean, my wyvern got 23 levels, which I wasn't gonna complain about, I guess. Day 12, I found a pack of Dino Pithecus and killed every last one of them other than the Alpha. Afterwards, I got the Alpha's health to less than 80%, which in turn would cause him to stop aggroing me. So I was safe to get off my wyvern, and I threw prime meat in the last slot of my hotbar and went ahead and fed this crazy monkey. Oh, you're mine, Mr. Monkey. I shall name you Rahul. Ha ha ha, I got a monkey. When I got back home, I reached the glorious level of 56, which offered me flak armor. So you already know I had to craft myself a full set of it for way better protection. And also made an extra helmet for my monkey. It looks hilarious. It's so dumb. Bruh. Later on, I had the realization that there was a cave right next to my base, so I decided I was gonna tackle it. And I don't know how many of you know this, but the reason I wanted the monkey was because nothing in these caves will aggro them. Anyways, I started making my way further along, and I found this yellow supply drop just chilling, and boy oh boy did I find something that I liked. Another awesome thing about this map is there's black pearls literally everywhere, but they were extremely heavy, so I couldn't carry too much. And after I was done exploring, I finally made my way to the end of the cave, which held the artifact of the cunning. After completing the cave, I went back to my base and started making some trank darts. And while I was at it, I went ahead and crafted another gate trap because I wanted to get an Argentavis. When this happened. Day 13, I made my way over to the snow biome and trapped this Argy just like the griffin and started tranking it out. And after waiting what seemed like all day, Captain Falcon finally woke. I should have named you Captain Falcon. I named it Sylvie. And then of course we had to fly all the way back home, but this, my friends, was my favorite part of the entire playthrough. Anyways, the reason I wanted an RG was because of the weight reduction, and I wanted to move, and I had way too much stuff at my base. So I filled up Sylvie and Blaziken's inventory with as much as I could, and now it was time to go find a new base location. Oh yeah, this'll do just fine. This spot is so peaceful. And now that I had found my new base location, it was time for me to get to building.
So after farming and building for almost a full day, I was pretty tired, so I decided I was gonna take a break. But this is the somewhat complete build, and I'm actually in love with it. But at the end of day 15, I had to go back to my original base so I could pick up the rest of my stuff, and then I would be officially fully moved. I started off day 16 by crafting my first generator so my base would finally have some real power. I then headed over to the snow biome because I wanted to get a Managarmer, so I brought my handy dandy net gun and got it trapped. And the reason I wanted one of these guys is because they have some of the best movement speed in the game. Oh, just go down, dude. Ah, that is pure luck right there. That is pure luck. And just as the sun was going down, the jetpack dragon woke up and I named him Mills. I, of course, then had to take him out on a test drive, and he does hold his title for the fastest tame. I unfortunately spent most of day 17 looking for mantis up in the volcano biome and realized that they are all over the desert, so I headed over here and started the extermination process. I'd definitely say that's a good day of work right there. The whole reason for the crazy polymer farm is because I wanted to craft a chemistry bench and a forge at some point. Anyways, all I did for most of day 18 was went out, farmed up some metal, and brought it back home. And when I got home, Mills, the Managarmer, was gone. Which is odd because I always leave my dinos on passive, that way I don't have issues like this. And what was more weird was that I checked my tribe log and there was no sign of him dying, so for now, it was goodbye, I guess. And at the end of the day, I decided I was gonna head over to the desert biome so I could get a Dodic and an Anki. And luckily those two are some of the easiest tames, so I didn't have to stress about a trap or anything like that. And I figured since I was here, I might as well get a thorny dragon too, since they're such great wood farmers. While I was waiting on the Anki and thorny dragon to tame, I figured I might as well be productive and go check some of the desert loot drops. Oh my god. They're so bad. Bro, what am I supposed to do? It's the same package. No, stop. What are you doing? Come to me. Why are you going to it? Dude. Oh my gosh. I can't do anything about this. What a freaking joke, man. I hate scorpions so much. What? You were just... Whatever, dude. I don't even care anymore. After our little conundrum, the thorny dragon finally woke up, and I named him Toothless because, well, he was cute and looked like a dragon. And after being in the desert for a literal full day, I was getting tired of it, so I decided I was gonna go for a low-level Anki and just settle. Well, excuse the hell out of me. Dude, can I just not get my damn Anki, bro? Why is everything in my freaking way? I'm just going home. I'm so over it. I'm so over it. Okay, I should be able to unlock the thorny dragon saddle. Yep. No way that said clay. No way that said clay, bro. I don't want to go back! Oh, it's cactus sap! Day 20, I found this low-level Anki chilling in my backyard, so I decided I was gonna make him mine. Damn, Bobby, we got him down. Dude, what was that accent, man? I've never done that before. I'm sitting here editing and not knowing when the hell I named my Griffin Noki, but I guess I changed his name. Anyways, when the Anki woke up, I named him Cranky, and later that evening, I decided I'd throw together a little greenhouse so I could start getting some crops. Day 21, I spent my time back in the desert so I could make some clay, get a Dodic, and also farm a bunch more polymer. Day 22 kinda meshed in with day 21, and while I was waiting for my Dodic to tame, this Microraptor knocked me off my Maywing. I call these the hardcore 100-day killers because that's what they normally do, but luckily I had flak armor on and quite a bit of health. And if coming after me wasn't enough, he was going after my Dodic, so I had to put him down. I didn't have time to name my little armadillo friend because this area was a lot more violent than the first time when I visited. When I got back to my little humble abode, I made myself a thorny dragon saddle. And now that I had all of my material farming dinos, I took them out for a spin. I also checked on all my crops and they were in the fruitling stage, so they were finally producing. And all I really did for the rest of day 22 was work on my base. Around nightfall, I went out with Cranky and started farming some metal because I wanted to eventually make a cooker.
Day 23 was mainly just a chore day. I got stuff done around the house that was much needed. And if you're one not to use dinos for farming, let this change your mind. And since it was chore day, I figured I'd finish up my sunroof that I had planned. And at this point, I was just waiting on metal to smelt, so I potted up my monkey, and it was time to take on another cave. This map definitely doesn't have a shortage of exploration, and that's what I love about it. And this is the only 100-day playthrough I've ever done where I didn't look up cave tutorials. Anyways, this cave that I was in was very maze-like. Anytime I took a tunnel anywhere, it felt like I was just going in circles. If you've ever seen As Above, So Below, this is the video game version of that. And the deeper I got into the cave, the more paths I was faced with. Even though my monkey had no aggro from these creatures, I just felt the need to kill everything. But after retracing my steps for nearly 20 minutes, I finally found this little opening in the cave wall. And sure enough, at the end of it laid the artifact of the hunter. I swear getting out of this place was so much easier than finding the artifact itself. There was like one path I could take and I was out. And on my way home, I thought the day was over, but I came across this waterfall opening type thing, so I headed down. And as expected, it was a cave entrance blocked by a lot of bugs. And this one was a lot more straightforward than the cave I just ran, but after taking one path all the way down, I was met by the artifact of the pack. But before it was safe to grab it, I had to kill all of these spiders. Another one! Okay, now it's time to go home. Day 24, I found myself wanting an Amargasaurus, which I have never tamed before. People who still think that the Shadow Mane is the most annoying taming method have clearly not gotten this guy. First of all, you need a heat-inducing soup to be able to sync your temperature with the Amargasaurus, and then you have to help it hunt to give it taming experience. Not to mention you have to feed it exceptional kibble to give it additional taming efficiency, as well as feeding it veggie cakes to heal it. So after learning all this information, I decided I was gonna wait until I was better suited for it and go get a Rex instead. Searching went into the night and into the next day because all I was finding was low levels. What are you? 24, dude. Holy crap, man. Is there a high-level Rex on this map? After scouring the entire lava and snow biome, I came across this level 174 Rex. So I of course got straight to work by laying out the entire trap and then luring the Rex into it. And now that the Rex was in the trap, it was time for him to get KO'd. I knew going into this that taming a high-leveled Rex would take quite a bit of time, but dude, not this long. Oh, finally! Reginald it is! You look like a Reginald, my boy. So on day 26, after taming the first Rex, I looked all over for a second, and this level 114 was just gonna have to do. So as you know, it's the same story, different day. I trapped up the Rex and started tranking him out. But after knocking the Rex out, there was a pack of raptors getting way too close, so I had to go take them out first. And while I was waiting on it to tame, I just took this time to watch the wildlife and enjoy the scenery. Early morning on day 27, the second Rex finally woke up and I named it Rexus. I flew home with the cinema crops because the RG is just so damn slow that it makes me want to rip my hair out. And I'm bald. The second I got back to my base, I enabled mating on both Rexes because the boss was not going to beat itself on its own. And of course, since I was going to have eggs to hatch, I needed to make a couple of air conditioners. Our very first egg! I used the following eggs to make exceptional kibble because I still wanted that Amargasaurus. That also came with a lot of preparation, not just the exceptional kibble, but I needed a shotgun with a lot of ammo. Day 28, something just didn't feel finished about my base, so I started adding more onto my porch. But I ran out of crystal, so I took my RG and Anki out, and I noticed that Mills was up here on the little cliffside the entire time. Dude, there's no way you weren't dead. I thought you were dead. I missed you so much. After my little reunion, I headed out to some crystal nodes and started farming them up with the Yankee. Later on, me and Mills headed over to the snow biome, and I found this 168 Amargasaurus, and boy, let me tell you, I did not know what I was in for. I want to retouch on the fact that I have never tamed one of these before, so I had no clue what I was doing. I just went ahead and followed the prompt and synced our temperatures, and now it said hunt with the Amargasaurus to tame. So I of course went out with my new pal and started shooting all of the enemies. And if this thing wasn't needy enough, if it takes too much damage, it loses taming effectiveness. I was then prompted to feed it veggie cakes so I could heal it, which I had no clue about at the time, so this was gonna be a little rough. On top of everything, if you kill herbivores, it doesn't add towards the effectiveness. It's only carnivores and creatures that would naturally aggro you. So I fought with my pal for what seemed like hours, and the taming effectiveness was going nowhere. This might have been a bad idea. There's a lot of wolves. Oh my gosh, he's getting bloody so fast.
He's getting bloody so fast. Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me? Dude, there's no way they made it this ridiculous to tame something. What are these things even good for? I don't even know what I'm doing. But I wasn't ready to give up just yet, so I headed over to the lava biome and thought maybe if I went for a lower level, it might be easier. So after getting synced up, I went ahead and started killing everything in sight. This has to give it a bunch of efficiency, or effectiveness, or whatever. It has to. Alright, let's see. 8.9. Dude, this just isn't worth it. This is not worth the time for what this thing is. My gosh. One day later, 15 creatures later, and only 45%, this was not worth my time, so I decided I was going to leave. But on the bright side, when I got back home, I finally had enough materials to make an industrial cooker, which would help me pump out med brews extremely fast. Day 30, I decided I would go artifact hunting again, and this right here was probably my favorite cave on this map. It wasn't that it was the most beautiful, but it was the amount of creativity and effort that went into making it. After going into the water entrance and down the dark tunnel, you're greeted by this labyrinth-like maze. There's a whole lot of lefts, rights, traps, and bugs, so I highly recommend bringing in some kind of tame because this place is pretty dangerous. So once I got to the end, I found a button behind some barrels, which led me to the first artifact I was looking for. And then in that very same room, there was another button behind some more barrels, which led me to the second artifact. At the start of day 31, I headed out to find another artifact, which was in a sunken ship by these islands. So after searching for a little bit, I finally found it, and it was under these wooden planks that you had to destroy first. This whole plan was not thoroughly thought out, and it could have actually costed me this entire playthrough. And the anxiety begins now. Oh my gosh. Wait, why didn't he attack me? Oh my gosh, I'm actually dead here. I'm gonna lose everything. I'm actually dead here. Come on. Oh god, he hit me! Dude, no way. Oh my lord. What was I thinking? The amount of stupidity that y'all just witnessed is beyond my imagination. Anyways, I hate failing, and I didn't want an Amargasaurus, but I needed one, so I started gathering giant bee honey, that way I could make sweet veggie cakes. And all was going well until I grabbed honey from one too many beehives. Oh god, I'm sorry. I die here. I die here. Oh my gosh. What is going on? What the hell just happened? I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Dude. 2 times in one day? No, that's enough for me. We're going home. I was so insistent on getting this Amargasaurus, so when I got home, I started crafting the veggie cakes. And round 3, here we go. Bro, another pack of direwolves already? There's only so much I could take. They killed it. They killed it. You have got to be kidding me. Oh, there's only so much I can take. I'm losing my mind. Round 4, here we go. You'd think for a level 174 this thing would have more of an alpha complex, but no, he's just a freaking wimp. Oh my gosh, 5%. A whole 5%, dude. You gotta help me out, brother. You're doing nothing. What are you? And after going at it all night, a pack of direwolves found us and murdered my Amargasaurus. Yo, someone's actually playing a joke on me. This isn't real. There's no way this is real life. Like, dude, I'm so done. I'm just done with this. No one needs this thing, right? It's bad. Tell me it's bad. Don't die. You're gonna die, aren't you? You're dead. You're a loser. You only lose. Amargasauruses suck. Day 32, I was on my way home, and I saw this Spino chilling in a river, so I decided I was gonna kill him for the Spino sale. I already had all the artifacts for the Gamma boss, but I hadn't gotten any tribute, so I needed to start. When I got home, I gave myself a fresh cut, because at some point I wanted to craft a nanny, which I would tell you about later on. And for the rest of the day, all I did was hatch baby Rexes, because I wanted to start my Gamma army. Day 33, I headed back over to the snow biome, because I wanted a snow owl. The reason I wanted one of these guys is because I saw a new method for taming Amargosauruses online that involved snow owls and traps, and that was gonna be my last ditch effort because I was extremely over this. So after dropping Mills off and some last minute preparations, I was heading over to the snow biome to try and get another Amarga. And once I got there, I got the trap all set up, and now it was just time to find a high level spiky dinosaur. And that I did. The biggest issue with this entire plan was my buddy was getting distracted by every single creature on the way to the trap. So my new plan was to not use the trap and to just heal the Amarga after each fight. And all was going well this time until I accidentally shot my own Amargasaurus and the taming effectiveness completely went away. So now that that one was pissed off at me, I had to find a new one, and this one was actually going very well. After just the first wave of enemies, it was already at 70%. This whole process went overnight into day 35, and as I was checking what level this Megatherium was, it was way too late. Megatheriums are just straight up cracked, and they're the whole reason why I haven't been able to tame an Amargasaurus so far. And yet, another fail. So after deciding I had enough, I headed back home and started prepping for the Labyrinth. This one is very similar to Ragnarok's in the sense that it's kind of a maze, but it's nowhere near as difficult. Anyways, I came to this Labyrinth because I was hoping that I could get a better shotgun, since maybe that was the reason I couldn't get an Amargasaurus. I'm honestly starting to think that I should have just called this video 100 Days to Tame an Amargasaurus. Within seconds of being in the Labyrinth, I found this red loot crate that offered me 2 pretty decent blueprints. This place was extremely hard for me to navigate, seeing as I watched no tutorial, so I was just taking every left and right, seeing where it brought me. Shotgun, 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 shotgun. Bro, I thought this was supposed to be like top of the line loot. Oh, I'm so lost too, bro. What is this? Is this like an arena? Day 36 came around and I was still lost and trying to make my way out of this place. Wait, this is where I came in from. Dude, this is... I'm so confused. What? Oh my gosh, I've passed this 3 times now. Dude. Okay, I was supposed to enter this way, right? Oh gosh. And I'm back in this freaking room. You gotta be kidding me. Wait, I think I found it. Wait, this is where I came in. Oh my gosh, I think there's an entrance and an exit. I don't think this is right. Oh. So after being trapped in the Labyrinth for a day and a half, I finally found the exit, and I gotta say that the risk was definitely not worth the reward. After I got out of that place, I headed back over to the desert and figured I'd hit up loot drops until the end of the day. Dude, this is some of the worst loot I've ever seen, bro. So there wasn't much to say about day 37. I sat around and thought about what I wanted to do, but just didn't put it into action. So I figured I'd explain the nanny to you guys. It's part of S+, which is a very subtle yet remarkable mod that offers quality of life upgrades. But the nanny itself imprints on baby dinos and will also feed them if you throw meat in its inventory. So that being said, you can leave your base as you wish without having to worry about imprinting. Day 38 came around and I figured I'd do something productive and get a UD, but this kept happening. And so I finally came across this guy, and he was pretty decent, but I was struggling to keep his attention. So once I finally got it, I brought him over to the trap that I had placed, and, well, he was being a weirdo. But weirdo or not, he made it very easy for me. Well, a UD can't get much better than that. And knowing what kind of creature it was, I went ahead and set up a spike wall around it because it was going to take a very long time to tame. Oh, finally, dude. Day 39, the U-Tyrannus finally woke up and I named it Harry Styles. I also realized that I had thought that I had all the artifacts for Gamma, but I was missing just one, so I headed to that cave. And this one was extremely easy, it was just a straight shot all the way down, but still no shotgun.
Ah, yes, me treasure. Give it.
Okay, now we're done with the artifacts. I think, I hope. Now that I had all the artifacts, I started gathering all the tributes. This went into day 40, but when I got back home, this Phiomia gave me the wrong look, so I had to cut him out of my life.
On the bright side, I was saving up a bunch of Rex eggs because breeding time was coming up. And I gotta say, my favorite thing in the world is mass hatching eggs and hoping for a mutation. And the sad but true part of leveling up Rexes. And seeing as I wanted to fight the Gamma boss on day 50, the next 10 days would be devoted to breeding. Please give me a mutation. Oh, dude! There's no chance. That is such a cool color. No freaking way, bro. I don't even care if you guys are low levels, you're so cool. And literally seconds later, I unclaimed them and killed them all. And it wasn't until 4 days into breeding that I finally got my first mutation. And in the next mass hatching, I got one of my favorite colored Rexes I've ever gotten before. Also, throughout this entire process, I placed 2 cliff platforms on either side of my base that I would never even touch. Come on, give me a new color. Oh my gosh, I hate this freaking game. Anyways, throughout breeding, I had to obviously make 20 cryopods so I could take all of these dinos to the boss. I also started potting up any fully healed dinos to get them out of the way. And then the worst part of it all was spending hours healing up these Rexes. I had a bunch of metal smelting throughout this entire process, so I was finally able to make the beloved industrial forge. And since breeding for days straight became extremely tedious, I started adding more onto my base. I feel like I put so much creativity into this stuff, but it's so simplistic. It still looks good. After building, I had to make sure that my cinema crops was protected at all times, so I made him a little helmet. And then shortly after, I dyed my entire armor set purple because I can't be ice sizing without purple armor. But anyways, now that all of our preparations were complete, it was time for us to head out for the boss terminal. And I guess I was short one Rex, so Rahul would be joining us on the Gamma fight. And at this point, I was just hoping that 40k health and 1k melee Rexes were gonna be enough to take down the Gamma Dinopithecus. Okay, here we go. Oh, I'm an idiot. I did not mean to bring him in here. Oh, I'm so sorry, Sinnoh. Alright, well, let's get this show on the road. Man, there's always got to be that one Rex that's just slacking. Come on, dude. Well, seeing as I've done this fight before, I'm going to have you all stay here, and I'm going to go back. That way I don't get jumped. And get all you guys buffed up to the max. It's just Gamma. It's just Gamma. It's just Gamma. It's going to be easy. No issues. Here we go. Screw 'em up, boys. Okay. Are you guys? I can't. Oh my gosh, there's so many freaking. There's so many flying monkeys right now. Oh my gosh, yeah, we are absolutely shredding this guy. This should hopefully not be a challenge at all. I don't like getting pooped thrown at me. That's for sure. It's the fact that it slows you. If a turd got thrown at me in real life, I think I'm gonna run faster. Hey, bro, you are so dead. You are so dead. Wait, I thought he didn't have multiple phases in Gamma. Interesting. I guess we just didn't do enough damage. That's right. Come back down. Meet your demise, you fool. Can you guys leave me alone? You're just pests. You're not even doing damage. You're just annoying. Finish him. He is so close to dying. Oh, we have this in the bag, baby.
You're done! Yeah, that was extremely easy. Way too easy. Well, that was 2 minutes of fun, and now it's back to the grind, I guess. When I got back to my base, I of course had to start decorating with my rewards for beating the Dinopithecus. And then for some reason, I immediately headed back out and went to the Labyrinth. I guess I was just still looking for better gear because the way I was sitting right now, I was not going to get far with anything late game. And what's weird is all of the loot crates were in completely different spots this run.
Oh my gosh, if I get one more blue long neck, I'm gonna lose it!
This room low-key gives me flashbacks, and I'm actually over it. So I never went in this arena thing the last time I was here because I figured I might get jumped by everything, but...
No, shut up. You're kidding me. Oh my god.
Well, hello, beautiful. On day 51, I made my way back to my base and checked on my new Dino, and the mutation chain was coming along quite nicely. I also managed to find this pretty nice ascended crossbow when I was in the Labyrinth, and that was going to be very helpful for taming later on. And since at this point you guys already know how breeding goes, just know that I was doing it throughout each day, but I won't show too much of it. I wish I could better express my irritation with these stupid, useless animals. Anyways, later on in the day, I went back out to gather the materials necessary for veggie cakes because you already know I still needed to get that Amargasaurus. At the start of day 52, I of course started stocking up on some more veggie cakes. But before I could go out looking for another Amarga, I had to test the DPS on this new shotgun, and I gotta say, I think I stand a chance now. At the end of the day, I headed back to the snow biome and started building the trap for the Amarga, and as you can see, I was completely encumbered when this Rex thought I was dinner. Oh, come on. Oh no, my Sinnoh! Don't attack him. Stop it, loser! Come on, don't. No, look at me. Me. Bruh. Oh, gosh. Well, that was a mini heart attack. Day 53, I set my eyes on an Amargasaurus that I wanted to go for, so I of course went up to him and synced temperatures. The hardest part is even though I built a trap, getting the Amarga to the trap is nearly impossible because it likes to attack everything in sight. Oh no, I screwed up. I screwed up. No, this is how it ends every time. Come on, reload. Okay, that's one. Please stay alive, just stay alive. Oh my gosh, reloading takes forever. Oh, my heart's pumping so fast. My heart's beating so fast. Okay, one more. Oh wow, we survived that. Look at you go. We're almost halfway. So the moral of the story is I turned my back for 2 seconds, he ran off and got murdered. So I think I'm officially done now. Day 54, I headed back to the artifact of the Hunter Cave because apparently I needed it for the beta fight as well. While I was out exploring, I came across this really cool deserted temple, which I think would make an awesome PvE base location. Anyways, up the hill a ways, I found this little cliffside with a waterfall, and I noticed that there was a cave entrance here. So of course I had no option but to go check it out. After traversing a little further, I noticed this opening in the floor, so I decided to head down. And when I got down here, I decided that this was by far my favorite cave for raw beauty and scenery. What I didn't know is when I got further, I was met by the artifact of the Brute, which was actually one I needed for beta. After completing that cave, I noticed that a couple hops and skips away, there was another cave. And this one specifically didn't have too much of a welcoming entrance, but maybe it would change the further we got. A few steps in, it got really dark, but yet again, another extremely beautiful cave. I mean, dude, just look how gorgeous this is. And after heading up a couple of ramps, I noticed at the top laid the artifact of the Immune. After completing the cave, I noticed there was a huge opening to the Magmasaur Cave, and why not get a Magmasaur egg? When I got inside, I tried clearing some of the area, that way it was safer for me to grab an egg, and they did not like that at all. But with some persistence, I got the first one taken down and headed for the second. This was more of a prove your worth kind of thing rather than actually needing these eggs because the levels were terrible. Day 55, I headed to the desert biome and found yet another cave. The entrance was very peaceful with the water reflections on the ceiling and floor. This place reminded me a lot of something you would see in Scorched Earth, but after exploring a little bit further, I got myself extremely lost and then came up on this pool of water, so I decided to go in. Oh yeah, I'm definitely lost. This is not good. After backtracking a little bit, I found this tunnel that I have not taken yet, and inside was the artifact of the Brute. I'm officially changing the title of this video to I got lost in caves for 100 days.
Dude, swimming on the Managarm is so satisfying. No chance. What was I doing? I was swimming!
On my way home, I stopped in the volcanic biome and I saw these two oversized snakes that I needed scales from.
Oh no, that's hitting. Eesh.
Oh no, I'm down!
I just almost died. That was almost the end of me.
Good lord. Why do these things have so much freaking health, dude? How many shots must I take? Are you almost dead? After killing both, I quickly checked their inventories and grabbed both of the basilisk scales. Day 56 was mainly just a breeding day, but I don't want to touch on it too much because of later events. All I'm gonna say is that a lot of work goes into this stuff and my mutation chain was coming along very well. But besides breeding, I knew that I wanted a strong water mount because I needed Tuso tentacles for the alpha fight at some point. Day 57, as you can see, my beta team was almost complete and they were looking damn good. And since I had the materials available, I was always on top of making med brews because it's a good idea to have them on you at all times. So later that day, after making a set of scuba gear, I went out to try and get a dolphin. But the first one swam away, so I started going for the low level. The only reason I wanted one of these guys is because you can shoot off the back of them and I wanted to get a megalodon. But after being the dolphin speaker and taming this thing up, I named it... Day 58, I took Eek out and started killing low-level megalodons for their teeth. I needed 5 total for the beta fight, so I might as well start now. And after doing so, it seemed like this megalodon wanted to join my team, so I started knocking him out. And after a little bit, I finally got the job done. And now came the fun part, which was waiting a whole day. Day 59, the Megalodon woke up with a massive increase to levels. And when I got down to it, I gave it the beautiful name of Chony Stark. And then the rest of the day was just more breeding. Day 60, and I present to you the complete beta team. And then now that the team was complete, I headed back over to the desert in hopes of finding a decent Rex saddle blueprint. But as you could imagine, this is ARK, so I found mostly crap. And since Thylas reside in the desert, I figured I might as well get the Thylaclaws while I'm here. Shortly after, I headed back home so I could make a Megalodon saddle just to remember that you crafted in your inventory, so I wasted my time. Later on in the day, I headed back to the Aberration Cave because I heard Feroxes reside down here and I wanted to get one. But after searching and searching and looking and searching non-stop, I never found a single one. And I'm starting to think that Reddit is just a load of crap, so I headed out of the cave. Now, day 61 through 62 was definitely something to talk about. As you can see, I headed down to the ocean, obviously, because I wanted to get some Tuso tentacles. And before I go on the huge rant and what happened between day 61 and 62, let's take a moment to appreciate how beautiful the underwater is on this map. Yes, this is what you think it is, and no, I did not kill it because it disappeared. Anyways, I made a community post on YouTube about this situation, but basically, there's gonna be a crash coming up that wasn't just a normal ARK crash, it completely crashed my entire PC. And when I loaded the game back up, my settings were all reset and my world was gone. The culprit was a corrupt C drive that I finally diagnosed and fixed and replaced, and everything was good after that, but my world was still gone and I'm not restarting due to something that wasn't my fault and out of my control, so I spawned everything back in and that's what you'll be seeing. Bro, this is such cheeks, man. but I had to reset every single freaking keybind before we could get started. And after doing so, I flew around and came to this spot on this island and figured I'd just build here. So first things first, I started giving myself all my old tames back. Recovery builds aren't the hardest thing in the world, but the biggest issue for me was the fact that I lost a bunch of mutated Rexes that I can't just spawn in. So I came to the conclusion that I was just going to spawn 2 high-leveled Rexes like I initially had and start the mutation process all over again. Another really hard thing was trying to match all of the gear I had, so I ended up walking out with like 100 less armor because I wasn't going to go over what I had. I gotta say, starting over with 2 fresh Rexes was one of the worst feelings I've ever had playing this game. As far as materials go, I was okay with going back out and farming all those again, but for the artifacts and tributes, I was definitely gonna give myself those back. But now the recovery build was done, and here it was, and it was time for me to get to breeding once again. So we're all caught up now, it's day 63, and let the show go on. So as you guys know, I still need to fight the Dinopithecus on beta and alpha, which means that I have a lot of work to do, seeing as I only have 2 Rexes, and I wanted to do the beta boss fight by day 75, so over the course of the next couple of days would be a lot of catch-up breeding and also healing. And for those of you who have questions about mutations, basically I take the original 2 Rexes, make them have a baby, make that baby have a baby with them, and keep doing that until you get one that's really strong. For the beta fight, I would do the most breeding because I had to catch up, but for alpha, I was just gonna hope and pray that whatever team I had was gonna be good enough. And for whatever dinos that I didn't want to keep because they either had low levels or no mutations, I went ahead and killed them with my other Rexes for levels. For beta, I wanted a minimum of 50,000 health on each Rex, and then obviously 1,000 plus melee. And I learned my lesson before the wipe, naming every single dino I got and getting too attached just meant bad news, so from here forward, it was beta 1 through 20. Luckily this time around, it only took 3 days for me to get a mutation, and it's almost like it's the ARK gods' ways of saying, sorry, we wiped your world. Anyways, we were at day 66 and I was only up to beta 11, meaning I needed 9 more Rexes, and I was falling quite behind. So instead of stacking up mutations on the remaining Rexes I needed, I just went ahead and added 9 okay ones and started the healing process, which meant long days and long nights of holding E and getting carpal tunnel. This is actually my life now. Like, this is what I do for a living. I feed meat to dinosaurs for 10 days straight, and that's it. You guys gotta imagine this scenario for me. You're sitting down with a guy or girl on your first date, and they say, hey, what do you do for a living? Well, I feed dinosaurs. You think they actually stay, or they walk out? I mean, me personally, I'd be intrigued as hell, and I would be like, oh, tell me more. But your average person. Anyways, day 72 came around, and all of the Rexes were fully healed. So I went ahead and got them all in cryopods, and then finished up some last-minute preparations before going to fight the boss. You gotta be kidding me. I made 20 Rexes when I only needed 19. I'm a dummy. So after crafting med brews and grabbing all of my tributes and artifacts, it was time for me to head out. And now that my team was deployed, it was time to start the fight, but I want to remind you guys that this is hardcore. So if I lose to this monkey here, it's all over. And truthfully, I was a little worried, because this team only had 10,000 more health than my Gamma team. Well, let's go. Oh, dude, I'm so nervous, man. Here we go. Oh, man. That was a huge amount of damage, actually. Oh, dude. I mean, we're putting in work! Holy crap, man. Oh, dude, we're so close. We're so close. Come on. Come on. Get there. Yes. Oh, we did it. We freaking did it, man. Oh, that was such an epic fight. Oh man, I'm so scared for Alpha though. And yet again, we live to see another day. Day 73, the first thing I did was look at the requirements for a tech replicator. And damn did I forget how expensive they were. So, me and my RG headed out to go gather all of the materials. And after doing some exploring, I came across this little pond that had a bunch of black pearls at the bottom. I then headed over to the volcanic biome to get the last bit of resources I needed, and then it was time for the flight home. Day 75, after waiting for the remaining metal to smelt, I was finally able to make myself a tech replicator. I then got it placed down next to my forge and then got it booted up. The first thing I crafted was a tech canteen because they have a high water capacity and also keep you cool in warm environments. Oh lordy. And after playing around with the replicator, I went ahead and crafted myself a tech rifle. The reason I wanted one of these bad boys is because they can shoot underwater, which would make fighting Tusos a lot safer. I started day 76 off by doing cave runs for better loot. I was still looking for that Rex saddle BP because at the end of the day, high stats or not, the saddle is going to make a world of difference. I love how this game can be so good at sometimes, yet so freaking bad. What do I do? Nope, that's just gonna kill me. Well, boys, it seems like we've gotten ourselves in a bit of a pickle. And while looking for loot, I still needed the artifacts for Alpha, so I started gathering those as well. Cave runs made their way into day 77, and all I could think about at this point was the fact that I still have not found a Rex saddle blueprint. And while some of you might be saying,
Size and level the Rexes more.
I can only level all of them a little bit more, and it's not going to make a huge difference seeing as their health at the moment is only 50,000. With vanilla settings, a tame dino can only get a max of 88 levels, and all of my dinos were around the 75 to 80 mark. Anyways, after the two that I just grabbed, there was only one artifact left that I needed, and it was on this wrecked ship that I have oh so great experience with. But after breaking the planks, I noticed the artifact wasn't here, so I decided I would just wait until 1500, which is when artifacts normally spawn. Oh, and let me tell you, I was patient. I waited and waited and waited and waited some more. Oh, and did I mention that I waited just for it to be 1500 and go down to the ship to realize that it's not even there? So at this point, I think it's fairly clear that I'm more than capable of getting this artifact, so I just spawned that shit. Towards the end of the day, I was in this part of town, so I figured I might as well get the remaining tributes I needed. Mr. Tuso. Using the tech rifle was my safest option, because if I got too close to this thing with my mount, I would most likely be dead. These are one of this video game's most deadly creatures, and honestly, they creep me the hell out. But after some weird experiences, I finally got it killed. Bruh. Oh, there's eels. Oh, they're getting really close. Okay. No! I'm good. I'm chilling. I'll be taking those. On my way home, I realized there was two basilisks making love, and I had to put an end to it. The true story, though, is that I just needed the basilisk scales. Day 78, I realized I still haven't gotten a gigaheart, and the stupidity of me trying to fight this with just a Managarmer has me at a loss for words. I did practically no damage to his 80,000 health, and after taking a couple of hits from this guy, I realized this was a terrible idea. Day 79 through 80 was spent prepping a couple of Rexes to go fight this Giga. Alright team, let's go to war! Okay, I'm gonna be honest, I thought that was gonna be way harder. But difficult or not, I got what I came for, and that's all that matters. Now that all other preparations were complete, there was one last thing I had to do, which was level my boss team to max. This Yudi is definitely not dying. that's for sure. So since you guys have already seen this before, I'm gonna save you the time and not show it all, but over the next 10 days, all I did was level Rexes and heal them up for the final fight, and then named each individual one Alpha Rex as well. After leveling was complete, I went out on the longest loot grind I think I've ever done since I've started playing this game. I even went back into the Labyrinth looking for these Rex saddles, and I still could not find anything. For literally any other situation, this loot would be amazing, but for my current one, it wasn't what I wanted to see. And when I was on my way home, I saw an Amarga in the volcanic biome, so I decided I was gonna kill him because of my strong hate for these things now. But before I could actually go home, I had to check more loot crates because I wasn't ready to give up yet. Dude. Just give me what I want. Oh my god. What am I gonna do with that many Doedic saddles? Please tell me. Oh, that's messed up. I thought that was a Rex saddle. Freaking dire bears. Well friends, my time on this island is coming to an end, but I just wanted to say thank you for all that you've done for me and my channel, and also coming on this crazy journey with me. Clearly there was a lot of ups and downs with this playthrough, but for the most part I fell in love with the Lost Island. There's so much to see, so much to explore, it's just a beautiful place to be. But there's one more thing we need to do, and that's to take down the Dinopithecus on Alpha. So after this one last sunset, we will go face the biggest threat of this island, and hopefully come out victorious. Well, let's do this thing. The worst part is always saying goodbye to all of the creatures that you fell in love with over the course of 100 days. They were by your side, they defended you, they fought for you, they did everything for you, and without them, it wouldn't have been possible. Oh my goodness, enough of the sadness. Let's go ahead and cue up one of the most badass boss fight songs you've ever heard in your life. Alright guys, it's now or never. Let's do this. I wish I could begin to tell you guys how frightened I am right now. Here we go. Get out of there, get out of there. Oh gosh! I would like to be doing a lot more damage right now. Oh, jeez. We almost have him dead. Just come back down here, dude. Come back down, come on. Damn it. Oh, I didn't realize those were grenades. Stop pooping! You pooped. No. Damn it. We were so close too. And the thing is, we could have beat him. We could. It just came down to me dying on the poop. Well, my friends, that's gonna do it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're not already, because I don't want you missing out on future videos. That being said, thank you, my friends, for sticking till the end and watching the entire video. I'll see you guys all next time, and I love you all.